I I hope you've been able to follow this whole series. Part of it kind of feels stupid, like I'm thinking, what am I doing? Why did I agree to doing this? It also feels a bit quite vulnerable sharing thoughts every day in this way, off the cuff. Well, just stuff I'm thinking about and working on in the day. There's I really don't sit down and kind of write out an elaborate content plan. I just sit down and try to capture one of the biggest thoughts I've had during the day. So April is basically, in case you haven't been following, basically a vlog every day in April month for me, which is basically doing one of these videos. And I've opted to do it live because I don't have to then put it down on my computer and then have to edit it and then have to upload it separately. I just do everything at one go. And when I'm done, I'm done, So that's why there isn't any slick production. That's why there isn't any extra stuff and all sorts of other things. And so, in fact, I think I like it. I just like being able to just do this and go. So if you haven't seen any of the other videos, I encourage you to do that. If you're watching on YouTube, you will see them on the list. And if you're watching on Facebook, I'm sure it will be easy for you to find as well. And today, the big thing on my mind has been the Facebook situation. I didn't know what to call it. That's why I just called it the Facebook situation. In case you aren't aware, there's a scandal. Is it a scandal? I suppose it is. Where Facebook allowed a company, Cambridge Analytica, where a Cambridge Analytica was able to harvest significant amount of data from Facebook. Some people estimate that it's about, at first it was about, they said about 50 million people. Now they say it's about 87 million people were affected, where data was manipulated in a way that gave an advantage to Facebook and the company, and with little or no consideration for users' data. So now this would concern everybody who's on Facebook, and I think in the world, but in general, I hope you've been following this and that some of it will make sense. If it doesn't, there are some points that I think I have on my mind that will make sense as we go through this. The very, 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 very first thing that I think I would highlight would be from different perspectives. So from the side of Facebook, and at the same time from the side of us, the users as individuals. The very first thing that's obvious to me in terms of Facebook is just to whom much is given, much is required. It's a great responsibility when you actually think about the fact that Facebook has over 2 billion users on that. And there's obviously responsibility from the side of Facebook to manage the data well and be considerate and ethical in terms of how they manage. And in any case, for anyone who manages or creates that kind of service or platform, they need to be ethical. And while talking about the ethics, I think I need to mention this point, that some of the things that are legal are not necessarily ethical or right. And it's possible for you to be okay in terms of the law, but just being right and just be wrong. You know what I mean? So that was just a side note. And then the other thing that I think about is that if you're on Facebook, you choose to be there. Okay, so don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's right for Facebook or anybody in that case to just do what they want with your information. But the flip side of the coin is that you're on Facebook by choice, right? You're on whatever platform, Instagram, which is also owned by Facebook. You're on YouTube as well, or whatever channel that you put content out, you choose to do that. and I think it's important for us to be wise about what we're actually putting online. And I think about some of the things that I put online, like getting a tattoo. It's sometimes you'll be able to delete it off one server, but by the time you do that, sometimes it's already been copied by another and put elsewhere. So then the responsibility, then the whole point comes to us being mindful of what we put out, of the content that we put out online, and yeah, because our lives are naturally extended online. It's like, we don't really think twice about what we're doing. Yeah, we don't really think twice about what we're doing. Well, at least we've gotten to a point where we're not thinking twice about what we're putting out online, and we just put it out there. So I think it's worth us rethinking about the things that we're putting out online. Like, how intentional are we being, or thoughtful rather. I think that's probably the correct word to use. How thoughtful are we being with the content that we're putting out online, and how it could possibly impact us. And the other challenge with that is that we never know to the extent of, like, how do I know that this is gonna, how do I know that, this is something that could possibly be manipulated and used in a way that, that's not helpful or healthy for you. So I think being online gives us a false sense of security, if I can call it that. We kind of feel like, no, it's out there, so it doesn't affect anyone, or no one, it doesn't affect anyone. That's an illusion. Then the second thing is not necessarily, how do I put it? It gives us a false sense of boldness, because then we end up saying things that we wouldn't normally say, or that might be considered out of character for us. But now, having said that, the big thing that we need to be thinking about is that I feel I need to revisit, maybe we all need to revisit what we're putting out online. Is it an accurate reflection of where we are? And often some of the things we put online, this is another important point, is that some of the things we put online need a little more context. And if we're not careful, a lot of things can be taken out of context. And that's how we see some people post things and then years later they come back to bite them. Having said that, so I've said that, and like I've said, there's blogging every day and putting out content every day in this way is not as structured as I normally would put it. But the other thought that I'm having brings me back to, how do I guarantee that I've got complete control over my content, over the things that I put out online? The first is that I've been intentional in creating platforms that I have complete control over, by creating my own blog, for example, blessing.im, in case you haven't been there. But that's something that I always encourage people to do, is make sure that whatever platform that you're creating or content you're putting online, you have as much control as you have. So I would say create your own blog with your own hosting, where you can put your own content on and you can decide what you want to do with your content. You might not have complete control, but you definitely have way more control about, like, the way people access the content that you put out. So there's another point. I remember one of the things that I did was I started photo blogging because I wasn't happy about a thing on Instagram that they had put out, a condition on Instagram that they put out, which they've subsequently changed. So I'm back on Instagram. But now, this is the thing, having said that, is have you thought about creating a place where if Facebook tomorrow shut down, or if whatever network changed their policy, you don't lose your content on there. So here's a question. So, and that's something that I always encourage people. Have somewhere where the content you put out is available to you in any way. I'm not saying that the content you put out on Facebook isn't, but create platforms where you have complete control for yourself, if that's important to you at all. And for me, it is. And then again, on the whole Facebook thing, I think what are my other thoughts? I think I've said stuff, but I think you also need to be familiar with your settings, really. Like, if privacy is a concern to you, well, Ingrid says, I love what Ingrid says. She says often, like, if you think something is private, put it in an offline journal, like old school. Get a journal, a pen. Do you still remember what that is? And put it in there. If you think something is, should be private. I think social media, again, that false sense of security has given us that, I've put something out, so it's not, because no one is sitting looking at you putting it down or publishing it, doesn't mean that no one isn't watching. So, I know it sounds stupid and it's very straightforward, but I find it funny that people get surprised when people make comments on things and then their pushback is, oh, that was private, but then why did you put it on Facebook? So yeah, if something is private, then put it in a journal somewhere or keep it in your head. I don't know. Just having said that, where was I? On the issue of settings, make sure that you know your settings, whatever platform that you use. Familiarize yourself with the settings, the privacy settings. I know with the recent changes in Facebook because of this whole scandal, they've changed. They've sort of tried to make it easy for you to access your privacy controls. But familiarize yourself with that. I think that's one of the ways you protect yourself, is by knowing exactly those settings and what they do with your data. I don't think many people do this, but I think it might. But maybe you should just try it, just to try. I think one of the biggest lies that people tell every single day is this: I have read, understood, and accept the terms and conditions. Come on, that's like, I guarantee you 99.87%, that's a proven statistic by me, of people don't even read the terms and conditions. You can't complain that Facebook or any other person, for example, has manipulated your data, or they're doing something that you don't want with your data when you've opted into some of that. So before you complain, don't be one of those ignorant people who whine about stuff. And I'm not saying that everything that Facebook has done or other platforms in terms of abuse of information or a violation of trust is right. I'm just saying that make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. Yeah, there we go. I think I've said quite a lot, and that's my big thought for today. Phew, that's done. Anybody, questions? See, people are still joining in. So what I'm going to do now, if you're watching on Facebook, I'm going to end the YouTube stream and just hang around maybe for 2 more minutes on the Facebook stream, just to see if anyone has any questions or comments from there. So that, yeah. Okay. Cheers, YouTube people. And back to